Alrighty guys, welcome back to another episode of Talk About Transformers. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Walmart exclusive repaint of Scorponok Legacy Deluxe Class Sandstorm figure. I saw him in the store and I was like, oh, wave 2 already, and so I went on a group I'm in on Facebook and I was informed that they're just Walmart exclusive repaints. And so that is what this is. They have the window back in the box. We'll go over the box here in a little bit. And I normally don't buy repaints. I don't know if I've officially stated this on my channel or not, but I usually don't do repaints. So you're not going to see a lot of those here, barring some exceptions. Because one, I don't really have it in the budget to buy multiples of a mold without a good reason. Like the Rexy set was a good reason. It was a 2-pack. It was Jurassic Park. So I bought it even though I have the Kingdom Megatron. This guy I bought because I did not get Kingdom Scorponok. So I'm catching up on older figures that I haven't reviewed yet. But Scorponok is not in that list because I never got him. So the Sandstorm figure was there and I was like, oh, okay, I can pick up the mold, but I left the cat and the bee there because I have Cheetor and Waspinator. Just so she knows. Real quick, again, before we get taking a look at this box, I mentioned the group I'm in on Facebook. It is Transformers Toys, and I think a couple of you that watch my channel are from that group because I've posted a couple of videos. So if you hear from Transformer Toys, go ahead and comment or like. Whichever you prefer, and thanks for tuning in. Anyway, to get started, we'll take a look at his box. You've got nice artwork on the front of Sandstorm in his scorpion mode with his claws and such. You've got Predacon Sandstorm here. You've got the Deluxe class in multiple language. It is Hasbro Transformers Generations line along with Takara Tomy, ages 8 and up. The top of the box is the Legacy symbol, and you've got all these cool designs and such, like I mentioned in Drag Strips review. Clear plastic windows back for this, even though they're not going to be in the rest of the line as far as I'm aware. You've got a robot mode picture of Sandstorm's face, zoomed in on that, and I really like this head sculpt compared to Scorponok's too. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but I just think it looks interesting. And then the same picture but zoomed out to show the rest of his body. You've got his missile pods there and his claws and stuff. You can see here that his legs are kind of folded out, but I kind of do a backpack thing with mine, and I'll show that when I transform him. Coming to this side of the box, you've got your Legacy collage image type deal, where you've got, I believe that's Thundercracker, Kickback, Iguanus. I did not pick up, but I believe that's who that is. And then you've got Drag Strip and a picture of what looks like Megatron. So I don't know if that's something coming down the line or what that's all about. I think I said that in Drag Strips review too. Does anyone know specifically what iteration of Megatron this is, or what character this is, and why it's on the box? It doesn't look like it would be Motor Master's head because he's kind of got that box head, and it's definitely not Menasau's head. So if you have any ideas, go ahead and leave it in the comments. And then on the bottom of the box, you have the barcode and all of the things included. It has a figure, accessories, and instructions, which I don't use. And then you've got the manufacturer thing. I didn't see a bio on the box anywhere, just this stuff. And then you've got your product shots here on the back. Again, his name. And you've got his robot mode and his scorpion mode, 24 steps. And even in the picture here, the legs are kind of spread out, but like I said, I'll do like a backpack thing for him. And then you can see his accessories in his claws here. He's got the missile pods and the little wasp thing. And that's about it for his box here. So we'll go ahead and toss that off to the side, back to throwing boxes. I only gently put them down if I care about them. That box only survived to be looked at right now, and then it's going bye-bye. But here we have Here we have Sandstorm in his beast mode. I like this color scheme better but that's my bias. I like orange and purple. They're my two favorite colors, as I probably mentioned at least a few times by now. So that color scheme's got it going for it. I also think, you know, the rest of the Scorpion body, not counting the orange and purple, is a more Scorpion-like color to me compared to the gray that Scorponok is. I've seen like black Scorpions and brown Scorpions and tan Scorpions. I don't know that I've ever seen a gray one, and if they are a thing, they are probably not as common. Picking them up here, we'll go ahead and take a look at details and bump the camera as we do it. Zoom in here. He's got red paint on his eyes, light orange paint on his pincers there. You can see the shoulder pads from the robot mode, and you can see visible head. I'm bumping the camera. I gotta bump it to get my fingers through. Visible head syndrome. There's his head right there. You've got the Predacon symbol on the shoulder right there. Coming down the body, you've just got molded detail. They kind of work the hinges into the carapace detail with the little gaps in his armor plating of the Scorpion outer shell, the exoskeleton, if you will. So that's kind of nice. The tail only has a little bit of articulation, that being this hinge here, and then this stinger is on a ball joint. So it's not as fun as the original Scorponok toy, if I am to believe from the images. I never had it, I've never watched a review for it, but I believe that its tail could do more than that. And then you've got his legs here in purple. 4 legs means he is an arachnid, and they don't look bad. The back leg is weirdly long compared to the other ones. I don't know if that's accurate to Scorpion anatomy, where their legs just get longer as they go back, but they basically just sit in one pose successfully. You could raise the back or the front one to kind of get like a walking motion, but these are fused together at the ball joint, so you can't do a whole lot with them. And then on the back here, you've got his leg sticking out with more orange. But some animals have a different colored underside compared to the top side, so you know, you could think about it that way. One thing I didn't care for, because I thought I was transforming it wrong, is his chest just kind of hangs open there. It helps him sit on the ground, I guess. And then his head, like I said, his head's just hanging out there in his kneecap. So from the bottom, it doesn't look super great, but that is par for the course for beast figures, car figures, jet figures. All figures almost look terrible from the bottom as a byproduct of, we're going to make it look good from the most common angle of it to be viewed at, and that's about it. And now here's a rare thing for us, is we're going to take a look at the articulation in alt mode. I did the tail a little bit, but the claws have all the articulation of the shoulder, so you can use the robot mode bicep swivel to make them go up and down. You can use the robot mode elbow to swing them in and out, as well as the shoulder to get some reach with it. You can use the shoulder universal to move the claws up and down like so, as far as you want. And then the claws are his hands, and they do have a wrist swivel, so to speak, and you can swivel those, and then you can open his claws pretty wide actually to reveal peg holes, and we'll get back to those when we get to his accessories here in a moment. You've got his legs. This front leg is on an individual ball joint at this joint. They're all connected together here at the bottom, so they can't move individually beyond this mid joint here, but you can lift this mid joint up on the front leg. The back leg, the ball joint's farther down, but still connected to this main base strip, so the back leg you can move up at the base. This one you can move up partway through, and then these two are fused at their ball joint, so you have to move them together in tandem. And then if you really want to, you can take this base joint. It's kind of on a thooping like it's a hinge that thoops, so it's like a hinge ratchet, friction ratchet hybrid type deal. So you can thoop it up if you want to lift like this whole side of legs up or something like that. And that is his leg articulation and his tail articulation. His head doesn't really have articulation unless you start ripping his entire back off. So that's about it for his articulation. We'll set him down real quick and take a look at his accessories now. Gonna get the camera zoomed back in. He comes with a pair of missiles in a nice metallic purple. Gotta love that. Me personally, I love my purple, and metallic is just a nice color scheme. You've got a little bit of molded detail there, and then waffling on the underside, but that's okay. It is a deluxe class transformer from an official line, so it's not going to be sculpted all the way around, just enough to that you can see about like 3/4 of it from angles like this. And then if you go too far, then you might as well just turn it around. If you're viewing it from this side, then you just spin it around to the same angle but on the good side, and there you go. So just pick your pose and pose your weapon appropriately. And then he comes with this little hornet wasp thing missile that he had in the show. It's got the same orange paint from his pincers on the wings, and then the same metallic paint from the missile on the eyes. And it's just molded in the gray the tan plastic. Pretty much the rest of his body is molded in. And by his body, I don't mean the scorpion shell, I mean the robot body. They are slightly different tans. I'll show that off here real quick, actually. So you've got this dark, almost smoky tan, and then the body is actually a lighter color. So it might even be paint apps that are changing the color of that, because it changes partway through. But you can see that it goes from light to dark. The wasp is the lighter color. I'm gonna get a drink here for a second, guys. Hold on. Alrighty. I've wet my whistle. I don't know if it made a difference, but I'll go ahead and put his weapons in. The first time I put him in, I put the B in his right pincer. Oh, let me zoom back out here. Come on, participate, cooperate. All right, yeah. So I put the wasp B thing in his right pincer. That's his right, not our right. That would be my left and your left, my appreciated viewing audience. And then I go ahead and throw the missile in the left, his left, our right, and I close them up. I don't know if they'll close up when they're sideways, like this. It does not want to close on the bottom. So yeah, if you have it posed where it's open, you could turn it sideways and have the waffling at the bottom. If you want to keep it vertically inclined, just shoot him from this angle, or if you're shooting him from this angle, flip the missiles around. It's that easy. No need to cry over waffling. I don't know if anyone is. I don't know why I'm making such a big deal out of it, but people will be like, oh, hollow spaces and waffling. So just like, work around it. Use your imagination. But there, his accessories are in him, and that is basically it for his alternate mode. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some size comparisons, and then go ahead and start transformation. His legs just are the weirdest. I'm not complaining. It's just, in order to get them in a nice position, you gotta like set them down and just massage them into place. There you've got Scorponok. We'll go ahead and do some size comparisons, and then get into the robot mode. Here's a size class that I kept forgetting in some of my reviews. Here he is with the core class Starscream figure. Here you have him with Prime Junior. If you had a Scorpion this big, you'd probably be having some issues, and he was even bigger for Starscream, so that is terrifying. Here you have him with Autobot JP93. I decided to go ahead and just get a size comparison basically for each mode, for each size class, aside from Prime Junior, because he's really the only figure I have in his scale. All my other Legends third parties are slightly oversized, so I can't use them. But I don't want to spend 3 hours transforming people when I have to work 10 hours a day. So the comparisons are just going to be size classes that are different. New changes randomly happening all at once. Here we have him with the Voyager class Bulkhead from Legacy. I went ahead and got him the same time I got Sandstorm, so his review will be coming out possibly next. I know I said I wasn't going to get a lot of the Legacy line, but I decided to go ahead and give Bulkhead a chance because he looked like he might be a little fun, and he is. And I'm not so upset about the prime characters being changed, that I can't give a nice figure with some. It's actually a pretty fun transformation, but we'll see that in his review. And last but not least, for size comparisons, here we have him with the Studio Series 86 Leader Class Grimlock figure for your alt mode size comparison. I did decide to just call the dinosaur modes the alt modes for the time being, just so that way I don't, get I'll get confused in my brain if I call this the robot mode and his robot mode the alt mode. I'll just be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Alrighty, getting down to his transformation, we'll go ahead and zoom in because he is a smaller figure, and we'll start taking a look here. One of the first things I do for his transformation is to just pull up on his face. No, we're going to leave his face plugged in. Do the legs first. Go ahead and pull this leg out. It's not pegged into anything, but we're going to pull it out and down so that way it's all straight in here. This leg, we're going to rotate the foot out, and that'll allow us to kind of clip it out of here. When you're going back to Scorpion mode, you get the back of the heel through that hole, and then start folding the foot up and it fits in. It's just shaped to fit in there, so if you try and just push it in, I find that I have a lot of trouble, but if you fold the foot in, it helps for some reason. Then we'll fold this leg down. We can fold this foot out. It is tabbed into the back of the leg, air quotes tabbed, because it doesn't really stay in place. And you'll notice that when you put him in Scorpion mode, both of his legs turn the same direction, if that helps you out. You got the light orange paint of the front of the leg, the shin area, facing towards the front of the Scorpion, and the front of the robot mode is facing this side, where the Scorpion head is on your left and the tail is on your right. Go ahead and rotate the legs forward for now, and then we'll go ahead and extend this down a little bit. There is a series of hinges in there, and in Scorpion mode you're going to push them all the way up and fold this. While it's pushed up, you're just going to mush that up in there as far as it'll mush. But we're going to pull it down, leave the tail down, and now we're going to push this head up so we have the most room on this hinge possible. Not as important for going to robot mode, but when you're coming back to Scorpion mode, having as much room as possible to get under his teethies and swivel out his face is going to help you. So we'll go ahead and swivel his face in and close his back up, and then we can go ahead and fold the tail out a little bit just to keep it out of our way. If you have the legs flailed out, this is where you're going to want your tail, but like I said, I transform mine a little different with the buggy backpack, which we'll get into as soon as we get the waist in place. So we're going to have his chest open, and the waist is going to turn towards the front, and there are these little tabs on his backside right here that are going to go into these grooves in the torso. If you can see them just above my thumb, they're two little grooves. So we're going to get them in those grooves, just kind of angle them in, and now that is securely in place unless you angle them back out. And then we can fold the shoulders out slightly. They are on another thooping type hybrid hinge there, so fold them down one thoop, then fold his head up so we can close his chest up, and that will complete his torso basically. I'm going to fold his tail back down, and you can do whatever you want with these legs, but what I do is I'll fold a pair of legs up, and then I'll get the other pair crisscrossed, and I just kind of fold them in a nice little pattern here so that they're cohesive. It's almost like it was when he was in packaging. Nice cohesive spider web of Scorpion legs, and then fold the tail back on its hinge as far as it'll go, and then mush the tail into all the legs so it sits nice and flush back there. And then take these two long legs and fold them up against the tail, and they rest so nicely right against the tail, almost like they're meant to rest that way. And it's a big backpack, but it's nice and compact. And then I'll take the stinger and I'll just fold it up there until he wants to use it, and then all we're going to do is stoop the arms down the rest of the way and rotate his claws forward and do whatever you want with them. Get him into your desired pose, and there you have him In robot mode, we'll go ahead and leave it zoomed in so we can take a look at his details. He's got eyes that are red. I don't know if it's the same paint as the scorpion eyes were, but I would assume it is. Then you've got the darker orange molded plastic like his shoulders, with a lighter paint on his face that almost looks like the paint they used for the darker body areas that fade in there, especially on his little mouth mandibles. It looks really good. You've got a splash of that lighter orange paint here on the stomach, as well as that fading I mentioned earlier, that fading effect where it's really light here, almost like they forgot some of it, and it just kind of fades across, so it looks a little asymmetrical, and I'm okay with that. As far as a paint job goes, it's nature. It doesn't have to be perfect. You've got more of that orange paint here on the forearm with some of that darker paint on the scorpion claw, but up here where you don't see it in scorpion mode very much, they just left it lighter. His thighs are also left that color. You've got orange hinges inside the claws, just where it was on the mold. It was molded with the stinger in the legs, I guess. And then we'll move his arms out of the way. Take a look at the sides. You just got the scorpion legs folded up there. Another nicely molded area here. You got some venting in there even, and that's painted with that light orange paint. Then you've got the dark orange legs. The knees are a little loose on this guy. Might have to tighten those up. You've got the orange on the legs molded, and then you can see the lighter orange paint, so you get an idea of the difference there. One foot has a tan heel because of the transformation. It matches the color of the tail, so it blends in, so you don't just have a dark orange spike sticking out of his butt when he's a scorpion. So that makes sense to me, and it's in the back, so not really gonna bother me. Go ahead and take a look at his back now. Speaking of which, it's just a big old hollow scorpion tail for the most part, with some legs folded up. On mine, if you want to have your legs in a different orientation, go for it. This is just how I like mine to be wrapped up in a nice little package back there. Taking a look at articulation, his head is on a ball joint, and you're supposed to actually tip it up a little bit for transformation, as well as fold it on that panel, but it's not really secure, so I didn't even mention it in the transformation. It's just got a little bit of an angled cut at the back there, so you can tip it up. Other than that, you don't get a whole lot of range from the ball joint, a little bit of side to side, nothing really down, and so it mostly acts like a swivel. So you've got swivel on the head, could do a full 360 if you wanted. So there you go with that. You've got the stooping joint for the transformation to get your shoulders up if you want, but realistically you just have a universal shoulder joint where you can go all the way around. You can go up and down at the shoulder. You've got a bicep swivel mushroom pegged in there. You've got a bend at the elbow that is just shy of 90. You've got that quote-unquote wrist swivel, and then you can open his claws, and they are individually pinned, so you can open the bottom one and the top one separately, so you could just have him just show people what he's got in his pincers, like some kind of covert, or like he's threatening you. Or he could have his claws open like this and kind of have his weaponry hidden up in the top, so he can grab stuff, and then if you go to mess with him, he can be like bam, and then he can get you. So that's for your arms and hands. You can move this too, like you could in Scorpion mode, so if someone's standing right in front of him, you can kind of get him. No waist swivel due to the fact that it clips in to the torso. You have universal hips, but they're not going back too far. That scorpion leg or tail is really in the way there, but you can go forward pretty much as far as you need to, and the ball joint or the universal out to the side isn't bad either. It's not terrible. And you've got a cut for a thigh swivel on that mushroom peg. The knees they're not super loose. Like I can't just sit there and flop them around. It seems like it's more loose going in than it is out. He's just so top heavy from all the stuff on his back that he just kind of sinks backwards. But you've got a knee bend and it is fully knee bent. The backs of his legs are pretty hollow, but you get a nice knee bend out of it, so that's okay with me. For the feet, this one bends for transformation, so you can get a downward bend. This one, the front bends down for transformation, and the heel stays in place, so you can get a downward bend on that one, kinda. And then you have ankle pivot that goes all the way to the side, and interestingly breaks outside also. I think it actually might go slightly farther to the broken side. And that is basically it for Scorponok's articulation and his looks. We went over the accessories in Scorpion mode. They work the same way. You just plug them in and fire them out if you want to do that. And that's pretty much it for him. So we'll go ahead and get him posed up and look at some size comparisons. Alrighty, and for core class robot mode, here we have him with the Rat Trap figure, and he is kind of a small deluxe. I actually think his Scorpion mode might be a little bigger than his robot mode, but we'll go ahead and see what he scales with for everyone else. You have him with your Prime Junior comparison, and that's a little backwards, isn't it? The Transformers are supposed to be larger than the characters from Beast Wars, so the Autobots and Decepticons are supposed to be bigger than the Predacons, not the other way around. Here for your deluxe size comparison, Studio Series Hot Rod, and so yeah, Sandstorm's a little short. That's okay, because he's kind of bulky, and I like him anyway. Here he is with one of his ancestors' faction members. We've got Voyager class Cyclonus from Kingdom. So there's your Voyager class size comparison. And for your leader class size comparison, here he is with the Studio Series Grindor figure, or as I've been calling him, Dirty Blackout, because I like Blackout better, and he has got some dirt on him. This figure will get a review shortly, within a couple of weeks. So we'll be taking a look at him then, because I never reviewed my Studio Series Blackout figure, so we'll go ahead and look at Grindor instead. And that about does it for Sandstorm here. I keep wanting to accidentally call him Scorponok, especially since he was just standing next to who I'm calling Blackout. He is actually not a bad figure. The transformation isn't too involved. It's pretty easy to do. I like the articulation in both modes, minus the scorpion tail being a little stiff, and by little I mean pretty much all the way stiff. The bug legs are a little weird, like I said, but I like how I can fold them up pretty neatly into a backpack. And that's pretty much it for my thoughts. There's not really a lot of negative here, considering the retail nature and price of the figure. It's a little more than what the Kingdom Scorponok was, because that's just what happens with inflation. And I think that for me it was worth it to get the mold, so I have it. It was worth it because I like the colors. And I think that it's just decent overall. No real complaints here. I think you're going to be happy with it. And with that being said, go ahead and check out my playlist in the review description if you would like. Go ahead and check out my social media accounts so you can see what I'm doing there, which is mostly nothing. I generally just post when I'm going to have a review out. And then go ahead and subscribe if you'd like. Go ahead and do all of that good stuff in the description below, and I will see you guys in the next review, which will be coming out Friday. As some of you might have noticed, this one's going to be out on like a Wednesday. I had that 2-week hiatus, so Waspinator was part 1 of making up for that gap, and Sandstorm's part 2. So we'll be back on regular track Friday with another review. See you then.